Hey guys, today I thought we would have a little lesson on coloring my gnomes. So I thought we would start with what I think is probably one of the harder ones, and that would be the Tomte Gnome. And the Tomte Gnome is basically just beard, nose, and hat. You see them everywhere. They're very, very popular. I love them around Christmas time. I like to decorate for Christmas with them. I like to give mine a little smile because personally, for the art that I make for crafters, I think it should bring a smile and be happy and uplifting for people. That's my goal, I guess. So whenever I'm coloring, I think it's better to start, or at least when I'm coloring beards or hair, sometimes it's better to start with the tricky part and then go up or down, if the case may be, from there. So if you look, the bottom here looks like the most complicated part. Now, it might be easier if you get a light colored pencil, just to kind of figure out where you want to go with your lines. Now, a lot of the time nowadays, I will draw the lines in for you because I realize how complicated this is. But let's say you have one who doesn't have the lines drawn in, or maybe you want to draw your own Tomte Gnome. So let's start here and take just a light line and draw it up to about here. And we're going to get into the mouth area because this is where I see a lot of people have trouble. But don't pull your line all the way up to that mouth line, because what we're going to do is just give him a small bottom lip. All right? That's going to be the only skin area around his mouth, because this up here is his mustache, or mustache as we call it in America. Right? I hope you can see that. Let's see if I can zoom in some on this guy, since that's who we're working on right now. There we go. So we're just going to give him, we got the little mouth there. Okay, and then you can see where the bottom of his beard recedes, and we're going to pull a line up from here and just sort of follow that other line and bring it up to the mouth line. We see where it sort of recedes a little bit there. And over here, it's more important that we follow this perimeter line than the line we created here. So we're just going to go like that and bring it all the way to the top. Now, let's go back over this way. We see the receding line. Let's start over here on the right. Pull it up, and we'll just pull that right up to the crease again. And then he's got a poof coming out here at the bottom. We're going to start at the next receding, and we're going to follow that outer perimeter line and just go up the inside of the receding line here. There we go. And we'll do one more little line over here and just end it where that stops. And then I think I want, just have a look, and if you see any spaces that seem imbalanced, like these are pretty broad compared to this area and this area. So let's just pull another line through here and just make it a little wavy. And this area is going to be tricky, right? Because these don't exactly match. So we'll do one right here that doesn't necessarily match either. And then we'll pull one through here that also doesn't exactly match either. And then we'll pull one through here. And that's going to go below the lip. Same here. Right? And then let's pull one right from this little point, following the perimeter all the way to the rim of the hat. And then I don't think I'm going to worry about that there. We'll see what we need to do with that later. So we've given his beard a little more definition. Now what we'll do, and these are the colors that I'm using. Use whatever colors that you like, but for the beard I'm using Copic Markers, N5, N3, and N0. You can use colored pencils, you can use any alcohol marker that you like. I imagine water-based markers will blend a little too much for this. Just make sure that your colored pencils or your other brand alcohol marker matches this to some extent, or at least that the levels, the darkness and lightness match these, right? Or just that they compare to each other in this way. So we got this, it isn't too dark, it's sort of a medium gray, a light medium gray, and then a very light gray. You could also make it a warmer gray, you can make them blonde shades, red shades if you want a red beard. It's entirely up to you. The main thing is that they're different levels like this. So we're going to start with the darkest level, which in my case is Copic N5. And we're just going to go down here at the bottom and start pulling that up just at the bottom. Like this. And you can flick it up a little bit. And we're mostly focusing on the lines, but where you see the beard receding in, also pull it up through there. And we may go in and just pull it all through, but for now, let's start with this, because it is easier to pull more dark in than it is to get rid of the dark, right? And then what we'll do after this is we will go up near the hat, where it will also be the darkest. Now, it might be easier for you if you turn your page upside down, so you can flick upward. So we'll go like this. And I hope you do not hear my cat using the litter box, but if so, I do apologize. Oh shoot, is he? Sorry, he's not even in the screen. My apologies. But I'm about to do the same exact thing over here. So. There we go. Alright, and we want to make sure we get some dark under the nose here, because that's a big old nose and it's going to cast quite a bit of shadow, right? So we're just going to do a little tiny flicks under there. Bring it down along that crease along where his cheeks are. And there's that. Alright. Make sure he is in the recording now. And let's pull some more shadows down around this crease, sort of like that. There we go. And we're going to pull some down under that bottom lip we created earlier, right? Just a little bit. Fantastic. Now let's look at these humps or lumps, whatever we want to call that, and bring some shadows in from there. So we're just going to, at a slight angle, bring some flicks in right at the bottom where it creases inward, right? You see how I did that there? Same thing over here. Yeah, like that. And over here. And then we'll do just a touch here. And looking at it now, I do think I want to add some more small flicks down here at the bottom. There we go. And yes, my cat is in heat. I really need to get her spayed, but it is super expensive in my area, which it's like over $200, and I did not realize this when I got her. Living in the South, you could get it done for $50. So I didn't realize. That was my fault. But she's a house cat, so there's really no risk of her getting pregnant, and so it's not a priority, really. It's just annoying for her, I'm sure, and the rest of us. So now we're going to take out N3, and we're just going to pull up through these lines like this, and we're going to pull it down, and we're going to do that same shadow like we did down here. And we're going to do all of the crevices. Like so. And remember, when Copics dry, they dry just a little bit lighter than when you first lay them down. So it will be slightly lighter than what you're seeing at first. Not a whole lot lighter, but slightly. And so what we're doing is just creating more shadows a little lighter. And I haven't been coloring with my Copics much, so my flicking skills are kind of crappy right now, I'm seeing. Plus this, I'm using paper that I really purchased because my preferred way to color digis is actually a combination of Copics and colored pencils. I do maybe 2 layers of Copics, and then I go in with the colored pencils and do a lot of the coloring with colored pencils. And this paper is just absolutely magical for it. It's a Cryogen white, and it's got this little sparkle to it that you can't really see on the camera, I don't think, but it's beautiful. And I like it a bunch, but it's not the greatest for blending, for the markers to blend on. It kind of soaks it up super quick. So this won't be the prettiest coloring, but hopefully it gets the point across what I'm trying to explain to you anyway. As you can see with my scratch paper, the colors aren't blending at all because this is just regular cardstock that I use for other things, not marker coloring. So we're just going through and flicking and following those lines we created with our pencil. Now, if you already have lines, if it's one of these Tomte Gnomes and I've already provided the inner lines for you, it's really preference whether you want to do this step. If you're doing light line coloring where you lower the opacity before you print it out, or if I've already lowered the opacity for you, then you probably do want to do this step. If not, and you want a very light colored beard, you might skip the going over the lines and just do the shading. That would probably give you that lighter or slightly lighter beard color. Alright, so obviously I'm a slow colorer and I apologize. Just pull your beard all the way up to your mouth, but leave the little lip there. And you want to leave some lighter spots in the mustache so you don't lose it completely in shadow. I'm just so out of the hang of coloring with Copics. I've been doing so much digital coloring, but I do kind of miss it, I have to say. Digital coloring is really nice if you want to offer colored products like on Etsy, because you've already got it in digital format. It is a very clean, you end up with a very clean, crisp product, which is harder to get with, excuse me, when you're coloring with like Copics and stuff, especially if you're hardware illiterate like me. Scanning images in, I never get a pretty scan. I don't know if people just do a lot of Photoshop editing when they scan stuff in, because my scans look terrible. I do end up having to do a lot of Photoshop, and then I feel like I'm cheating somehow, like I'm not being honest when I do that. Like, this isn't what it looks like. This is just close to what it looks like. Yeah, I don't know. Alright, so I'm getting a little crazy with all this mid-gray, and it's turning darker than I really wanted it, but that's okay. We're going to go with it, and I'm going to take the N5 again and add just a little more of this darker, just to give it a little more, you know, it just seems a little bit like too much of the light gray, and it's not broken up enough. So let's go through, just add a few spots of this darker gray. Oh, sorry, that was my phone. telling me I need to take my vitamins. Alright, and we'll just do this dark spot in some of the areas where the gray most needs to be broken up. You see where you see where it's like a whole bunch of it together. Maybe through here. Definitely through this little area. But don't, do every single line. We don't want too much of it. Just, and watch me do something, like have an accident or something and end up having to do every single line. Just after I said that, because that's how luck sometimes works. Alright, we're going to just leave that for now. And we're going to take out the N0, and we're just going to do a little bit of blending, particularly of the darker spots there and here. Mostly the stuff we just added, right down here under the lip, not there, maybe right here. We don't want to blend too much because we like to see some strands there, right? Alright, so that is sort of the beard, and it's not my favorite beard. Like I said, this paper is really better if you're going to do markers and pencil, because I would normally go in with pencil after this and refine details and stuff, but I'm not going to do all that today because I want to keep things simple for you. Now let's do his nose and his mouth. For that, I am using, for my darkest color, I'll be using E13, and this is just a generic white person nose. E11. And again, you can use any alcohol marker brand or color pencil. For skin, you might even get away with water-based, because we don't really want any kind of hard lines in a flesh color. And even though this says EOO, it's actually EOOO because I accidentally got doubles. I used it up and then just kept refilling it with E000 until it blended out the thing. So again, it's E13, E11, E02, I mean R02, and E000. And basically you just want something similar to this, something similar to this in whatever product you are using. And what we're going to do is we will start with E000 just to get a, just to wet things up. And we're going to start with his nose and do the lip after. And I'm leaving, I wonder if I can get any closer on his face and hopefully not blur it up while I'm at it. There we go. We want to leave a white circle around it, but if you don't, a white gel pen, we can always come in with a white gel pen later. But we're just sort of filling in and leaving a white circle around the edge. And the next thing we're going to do is take the E13, or your darkest skin tone, and we're just going to do the very bottom, just a little bit right here. And then we will take the next darkest color and sort of blend that a little bit, like this. And then we're going to take the R02, and this I think is pretty important with gnomes because they're supposed to be ruddy, or I think, for me, they're supposed to be cheery and ruddy and pleasant. They're supposed to be happy creatures to me. I mean, they represent whatever to everybody, but for me, I think of them as these little cheery guys. And just add some blush to their nose, to your little guy's nose. And then take the E000 again and sort of blend it all together a bit. And you really want to soften that R02 up so it does look like blush. Now pull that E02 into the white a little bit. You can just leave the littlest bit of edge there. Alright, now go down into his lip and we're gonna pull that E02 all throughout. And you can blend, if you got some of that gray in there, just push it through to where it's not in your lip area with the E00. And then let's take the E11, or the second to darkest shade of whatever tool you're using, and we're just gonna pull it down at the bottom a little bit, just a little bit along the bottom of the half circle that is his mouth. And then we're gonna take the darkest skin tone you're using and just do a teeny tiny bit right under that upper lip, just a tiny bit. And that's his bottom lip. If it's too much, you can just blend it a little bit with that E00. And there is skin and beard for your Tomte Gnome. So we're going to take the darkest of your grays, for me that's M5, and we're just going to go in down at the bottom, and not at the edge but close to the edge. Just add some little, oh, let me zoom in on him so you can see this. Hopefully you can see this. There we go. And we're just going to add some little lines down here, only at the bottom. You don't need to go all the way to the top. Right, we're just adding some texture right at the darkest part, which would be the bottom of this beard. Now we're going to use the mid-tone, which is N3 if you're following along with Copics. And that is when we'll start up here and we'll add some texture, right? And just pull that down a little more, like so. And then we'll just do some squiggly lines, some little dots. Make sure you pull some medium gray up here under his hat. Right. Do some more squiggly lines. And we're just kind of giving the illusion of the beard shape. Then we're going to take the N0 and we're just going to bring it through all of that. Soften it up, right? take the N3 again. I'll just start adding more texture. Now, you want to take your white gel pen. Oh, shoot. Oh, I know these better work. I just bought them. There we go. And start going over it. You do swirls, you do dots. Whatever you want. I'm just kind of going along the edge here. The point is to create some texture in the beard. Right, and you just want to make sure it's excuse me, some little squigglies. Right. Now the gray underneath was important, otherwise, you know, like on a white sheet of paper you would have never seen this. The cryogenic white, or whatever it's called, cryogen white, that kind of sounds like those pods people go in so they can be brought back to life in the future or whatever, where they freeze you. I don't know, like a cryogenic chamber or something. Anyway, so there's a quick and easy way to do that, but you do need to use like a white jelly roll or the uni ball. I think that's called what it's called for that one. And you want to do a gray underlayer so the white will show up. But I will color his nose real quick, just so you can. So this stands out a little more, because remember, there'll be, you know, the color around him and everything else. Again, I'm using E000, E13, E11. This is the lightest. I started with the lightest flesh tone, then the darkest flesh tone, then the next to darkest flesh tone. Then we're going to throw in our warm but light reddish orange to give him some blusher. And then we're going to blend it all with our palest white people flesh tone. Right, and since we have the jelly roll out anyway, I'll just color this all in and use this opportunity to show you some cute little extras you can do on these big old adorable Gnomie noses. I don't think I like that right there. Hold on. Oh, that's not going to work. My fingers are too dang big. Push it over with this. Sort of blend that out there because I didn't really. Yeah, that worked pretty good. There we go. And then you could also add little dots in his eye if you want to. There we go. Like, this video isn't going to be long enough already. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is the Cheery Gnome. And his beard is pretty easy, really. I'll do it real quick, but it's pretty easy. So it's just very much like hair that you would do on the girls and stuff. So let's take our darkest gray. If you're following along with Copics, that's N5. And we're just going to start at the bottom, flick it up, again, like so. I'm not going to be particularly neat because this video is already running pretty long. And apparently we live in the era of TikTok where people have like a 30-second attention span. So I'm trying really hard to not go on for too long. We're just going to pull a little bit out of the hat there, but there really isn't. It wouldn't be too much shadow up there since his face is really what's coming out from under the hat, since I wanted to give him some cheeks. And then we'll just do a little bit here. We might change that later. Alright, now let's pull out our medium gray, which for the Copic follow along would be N3. And we're just going to pull that one up. Just like so. And we're going to do the same thing but coming down. There we go. And then we'll do just a little bit of the N0. What did I, oh there it is. The lightest gray that you have, and we're gonna do like that. And just flick that through a little bit. That'll probably fade and we won't really see it much anyway. Alright, now let's get to his skin. Again, we're going to start with E000 just to get it good and wet. And you can just get everything covered with this one. We're going to pull out E13 and add in the darkest shadows, which because he has, oh, let me zoom in here. The other way. Alright. Because his hat is actually over more face, we'll do like that. And then we'll take, oh, let me put a little bit down here. And we'll take the E11, or the second to darkest, and we're just going to pull that down here, just over on the side and down on the bottom of the cheeks, and then on the inner part of the cheeks, and down here on the bottom of the nose, up along the side of the nose. And then we'll take that R02 or the blusher, and we'll add some blush just along the side and bottom of the cheeks. And right there along the bottom of the nose, coming straight up, and just a little bit over the top. Now we're going to take that E000 and blend all of that so it's good and soft. We want to try to leave that little patch of light color in the upper right corner of the nose there. And we'll take the jelly roll and just add a little dot there. Clean up the bottom there where I got some gray. And maybe add a little dot on his cheek there. And there we go. There's his face and his beard. Alright, and our last little gnome is Odd. And I call him that because he is tall and skinny and lanky, which is very not gnome-like, but he needs representation too, gosh darn it. So we are going to make him with a dark colored beard, and we're going to make him dark skinned. And here's how we're going to do it. N5 and N3. Yeah, that's better. We'll do N8, N5, and N3 for his beard. Scratch that out. And we are going to do E29. E25, E33, and we're going to stick with the R02 for his blush. Oh, I opened the wrong side. I really need to clean this one and fill it, but I think it'll last us for this. So let's get started on our little Odd Gnome. And we will start with his beard. And I'm feeling frisky. I feel like I've warmed up enough. So I'm going to take the mid-level gray, which is the N5. If you're following along with Copics, that's this one, the middle shade. And I'm just going to draw my little lines in like we did with the pencil earlier. So let's do that. And again, I'm going to start at the bottom. And let's just hope I don't regret this, you know? It could certainly happen. There we go. Just a few little lines. And maybe I'll add, no, I won't, because we're going to try to make this a dark beard. And we'll do the N8 and start coming in with some shadows. So let's pull some lines up from the bottom here. Alright. And we can keep that bottom pretty dark. Maybe we'll pull those shadows in from the top where his hat is connecting with his beard. We'll do this at his cheeks as well. And there's really a lot of ways you could treat the area where the beard connects to his cheeks. You could really make that a highlight where the beard is puffing out. But just to keep things simple, we're just gonna treat it like the cheeks are sort of hovering over the beard. So let's pull our shadow down under. Now, because his beard is going to be dark, we're going to go in really quick and just add his little bottom lip there with the 33, the lightest of the skin tone colors. Let me zoom in real quick for that, and I'm always hitting that button wrong, aren't I? Alright, so we're just going to do his little bottom lip there. Alright, so we know where we're working from. We don't want to lose that, and I'll just draw his beard down from there. Alright. So we can zoom back out. And you can see, oh, I got, well, this will zoom out a little bit. Alright, there we go. Perfect. Alright, so we'll do a little more shadow with that N8 or your darkest gray, which we were just working with. Sorry about that. And just like we did on our first Tomte, we want to go into where the hair, the beard dips in, and add some of the darkest shadows there. And when you're doing a darker colored beard, you want to be real liberal with those darker shadows. The focus, when something is basically dark colored, your focus then becomes the highlights. You do a lot of the darkness and sort of emphasize the highlights, and that's where your shapes reveal themselves in a way. So let's pull that through here, and we're just using that darkest color. There we go, to shade in those areas where the beard dips inward. Like through here. There we go. I think that might work. Still want to leave room for those lights I was just talking about. There we go. Okay, so let's take the middle gray, the mid gray for Copic Markers, that's N5, and pull that through, and we're just leaving a very, very little bit of the light area, the white, because like I said, this is we want to be liberal with the darkness for a dark colored beard. It's weird, but this neutral gray actually looks a little blue to me, but maybe it's the lights that I'm using for this video. Could very well be. The N8 just seems a little bit blue rather than neutral. Hope it's new. I think that's one of my new ones. Huh? I don't know. Probably it's just the lights. Anyway, so just leave a little bit of highlight areas. We won't worry about leaving any highlight area around the lips, but we do want to leave his little bottom lip there. Alright, I think that's pretty good. And then we're going to take N3 and we're just going to leave the barest hint of white just the barest little tiny bit of shine in his beard, because beards aren't generally too shiny, and I imagine for gnome they're very not shiny, because to me gnomes are messy little creatures. They're too busy enjoying life to worry about being neat and too clean. They're, you know, they're out there in their garden, they're getting dirty and just enjoying Mother Nature. So there is his beautiful black beard. Now let's get started on his darker skin tone. Darkest brown, it is E29 if you're using Copics. And we're gonna do the bottom of his little nose here, which is going to be entirely in shadows. So we're going to do there, and then we're also going to do up here, right? Just like that. And we'll do a little bit down on his cheeks, right around his nose, just like this. And then just the tiniest bit right under his hat, because we don't want to lose his eyes. That is something you can do easily when you're doing a darker skin tone and you just have those little black dot eyes. Excuse me. Now we're going to take the second darkest skin tone, and that for the Copics users is E25, and I don't even know if I should bother trying to show you the markers since it just goes blurry anyway. And we're going to blend that darker shade out. Just a little bit like this, and bring it up along the edge and down the bottom, just like that on his cheeks. Oh, I forgot to do the first layer of the lightest, but oh well, we'll manage. Just like that, and down here like so. And then we're going to do, excuse me, the R02 to add a little bit of blush in here and pull it into the skin up here around his eyes and down into the skin, all through here. And then we'll take that E33, the lightest flesh tone, and pull that all through everything to blend it in. Except for that little light spot up here. We want to leave just a little bit of highlight. And since he has arms and feet, I'm just going to do them really quick. And since I didn't lay a layer up there, I won't here, so, you know. Anyway, we'll just do the darkness in the darkest spots, the darkest shade in the darkest spots, and then down at the bottom, right along his beard and on the inside, down through his fingers. Right under his pants and down there, bottom of his feet. I love those big old toes. I just think big toes and big noses are just the cutest thing. They go so well with the big old heads, you know? So that was the darkest. Then we're going to do the mid flesh tone. Pull that in, blend the very edge of the darkest, just like this. Pull it down through here. And then let's pull some of that blush into his hands and his feet. I think a lot of people forget that we do blush all over our body, or at least some people do. I know my chest blushes, and you know, my hands will get red. Now let's use that lightest flesh tone. And even if you don't particularly blush, it does add something to your characters if you give them a little bit of warmth with a blush color. So it doesn't hurt to give it a go and see if you like it. And if you have a character with toenails, you can just go over it with your lightest color very lightly if you don't want to paint them. There you go. And that is our odd gnome all colored up. Well, skin and hair anyway. We'll just throw a little more dot in there with our jelly roll. If you don't have the jelly roll, it's pretty handy, and I suggest you get some kind of white gel pen, or you could use white gouache. Anything along those lines is pretty useful when you're coloring with alcohol markers. They can be tricky with colored pencils at times. Sometimes they don't want to lay down over them. But yeah. So thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you found it helpful. I'm sorry if it was super long. They tutorial videos tend to be, unless they're, you know, I could have broke it down, I guess. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. I was asked to do a skin coloring tutorial and a tutorial for coloring in Procreate, so I'll probably be doing those pretty soon. But this is just something I always wanted to do because I see it a lot where people are struggling with the beards, and I just always thought it would be nice to do a skin tutorial for the gnomes because that blush really makes them glow, and a lot of people keep the skin real basic on gnomes, and it's just the glow really adds something, I think. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I would like to get my URL customized, and I need 100 subscribers for that. So like if you liked, and please subscribe. Take care, y'all. Bye-bye.